Man, his ball handling is fantastic.
Ow! Ow!
It's about I got to say, it's the stupidest thing in sports.
Being able to run as he shoots the moon to the fans here in Green Bay.
That is a disgusting act by Randy Moss.
This is not Detroit, man. This is the Super Bowl.
Here we go. Down from the gun to the touchdown. And it's caught. Touchdown.
This is BS Sports.
And welcome back. We are back. Seth is not back. He's still consumed by the terrible college football. Home Depot said no to probably the most anticipated time of the year. Football is back. Not just college. The NFL is back this Thursday night. I can't believe I've lived to see it. This Thursday night, the NFL is back. The Lions are taking on the Chiefs this Thursday night, a day before my birthday. So they better not give me a bad birthday eve. The Tigers play on my birthday. They'll probably ruin my actual birthday. But we got a good show. Seth is not here, but we still got a good show. We're going to be doing NFL team total win predictions. Going to have a lot of fun with that. Have a tier maker all here. We're going to have fun. And probably put the Cardinals in the very bottom because, my gosh, have you guys seen? They're going to go 0-17. It's happening. And we're going to look at some other things. Some Bleacher Report power rankings as the season is, about to begin. I want to take a look at the power rankings that Bleacher Report puts out because I generally like Bleacher Report's power rankings. I'm not a huge power rankings guy, but I like to look at them just because I want to see what nationally people are viewing some of their teams as. The other thing I wanted to look at is this college football week because it was a very exciting week in college football. Michigan State played CMU, blew them out. Love to see that. And then some other stuff with conference realignment, as well as taking a look at the new top 25 poll for college football. We got a lot of stuff. So I guess, where do I want to begin here? I guess, you know what? Let's start with college and we'll build our way into the NFL as the NFL season. Every second I talk, the NFL season gets closer and closer. It's amazing. I love it. So let's start then with college football. So the first thing, before I even talk about the games, I just want to point out, so we briefly talked about it. It was a few weeks ago at this point, maybe even a month ago. I guess now we're in September, so it probably was a month ago. But here from Adam Wells on Bleacher Report, ACC to add Stanford, Cal, SMU to conference in 2024 amid Pac-12 realignment rumors. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but the ACC is just now the All-Coast Conference. It's just not the ACC anymore, not the Atlantic Coast Conference. And I remember talking about this as a rumor and being like, oh, this is ridiculous. I can't believe they're thinking about doing this. And they actually did it. And I just don't understand this. Like, it's money, right? That's the reason. People want to make money from these California markets. They want to make money from the Texas market. SMU, I believe, is in Texas. Yeah, I believe it's in Texas. I don't know. It could be in not Texas. I don't know exactly where it is. But you know what the point is, they want to expand their markets. They want to be able to expand their brand of college football to the expense of the student athletes, I would say, who are now in a weird spot where every year for every season, relatively speaking, they'll have to travel across the country or halfway across the country to play a conference game. I mean, to me, it's just ridiculous. And you're not really going to convince me otherwise. It's just ridiculous on its face. So, yeah. I got nothing really more else to add other than, conference realignment in college football continues to just be peak stupidity. That's just what it is for me. Every single day, it's something new and stupid and amazing. Not amazing in a good way. Amazing in a, wow, I cannot believe we have actually gotten to the point where we're that stupid. That's where we're at. But the big story, at least in my world of college football, Michigan State, 31. Taking down the Chippewas of Central Michigan. Not a great night for the Chippewas, but a pretty good night for the Spartans. I won't say a great night. So the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's start with the good, okay? The good was probably the defense. like, and like Noah Kim as the game continued, but mostly the defense, I'd say. So I want to look at some team stats here that I thought were pretty indicative of just how much better the defense looked, especially when compared to last year against Western Michigan. So this year, the Chippewas, they had 19 first downs, okay, to the Spartans 20, which, not a great ratio there. But the Chippewas were 3 for 16 on third down, meaning the defense was getting off the field. And that includes a fourth down, 0 for 1 on fourth down as well. But what that tells me mostly is when you put the team in a tough spot, you put them in third downs, 1 out of every 5 times, 3 for 16, you're putting them away, right? Like they're not getting up. Like that's it. You put them in the hole and now they're done. Like now that's it. And that is the thing that Michigan State struggled with, where it seemed like last year, it was like, I think it was Wisconsin or something. We had them on like a 3rd and 28 or something, and they managed to convert it. It's like something absurd like that. But that sort of thing, that is what changes games. See, like, it's not simply about limiting points, because that's important too, obviously. And in this game, we limit them to 1 score in 1 quarter the entire game. They scored 7 points and had the lead briefly for but a moment. Central Michigan was beating Michigan State, and Chippewa fans worldwide, all 10 of them, were thinking, oh my gosh, it's going to happen. Michigan State is going to lose to us on their first home opener, Friday Night Lights, national TV, FS1. Tim Brando's drinking the whole bottle of bourbon, and everything just fell out from under them. Pretty much after Central Michigan took the lead in that game, Noah Kim and the offense said, you know what? No more. No more. We are not losing to Central Michigan. And all of a sudden, things just went off. Total yards for Michigan State were 406, 279 passing yards for Noah Kim. In passing, they were 18 for 33. That includes a couple of passes from, Caton Hauser. 8.5 yards per pass, which is pretty good. It's roughly a first down or so. The other thing, rushing, 127 yards rushing, which not really amazing. But you had most of those rushing yards coming from one Nathan Carter. Nathan Carter is a name I did not know until this game started. In fact, if Nathan Carter walked into this room right now, I probably wouldn't recognize him. But Nathan Carter, on 18 carries against Central Michigan, ran for 113 yards, an average of 6.3 yards per carry, and a touchdown with a 31-yard rush. And I believe that was his first play. And I was like, Kenneth, is that you? Did you come back? 5th-year senior? No, not Kenneth Walker. Didn't have as big of a start as Kenneth Walker did either, where Kenneth Walker on his first play against Northwestern in 2021 scored a touchdown. So not Kenneth Walker, but a pretty dang good start, I would say, from Nathan Carter. He was making more plays after getting hit, where he'd get hit and then he'd gain, 3-4 yards after, or 2-3 yards after, or what have you. And that's the sort of thing that you need to be able to do if you want to run the ball in this league, and particularly in the Big Ten, where running the ball seems to be the staple. We're not exactly, running, Florida State 5 wideouts and, have fun. Just chuck the ball. Keon Coleman's got to be down there somewhere. We'll talk about that later. But Nathan Carter was the big story on the rushing. As far as the passing, it was a bit of a who's who, because I didn't know who any of these guys were, pretty much. And pretty much a good amount of them had some good plays. Jaron Glover, though, 3 catches for 75 yards, an average of 25 per catch. His long was a 33-yarder. That he came alive in that final drive of the first half to give Michigan State the lead, where they just that was it. They just ran away with it at that point. And he seemed to be a bright spot offensively as far as the passing game goes. Another one, Christian Fitzpatrick, 2 receptions for 70 yards. I mean, again, it's like if you make 1 or 2 of those big plays, it's like, yeah, I mean, like that big play, that sort of shifted the momentum for the game. At that point, we went ahead and that was it. outside of those two, you also had Trey Mosley, who I did remember. 3 receptions, 39 yards. He was okay. He wasn't terrible. He seemed like veteran presence, I guess. Jalen Berger also was probably better, I would say, on the pass catching than he was on the rushing. I think he got more yards actually on the pass with 4 receptions, for 30 yards, 7.5 average. An 11-yard reception was his big claim to fame. He also had a touchdown, but that was a rushing touchdown. But the other one was Tyrell Henry. I mean, he didn't do much in terms of total stats, 2 for 25. But he had a one-handed catch, and I believe it was the third quarter. That was pretty dang spectacular. I gotta give him credit. It was a pretty good catch. But that is the good. And I guess I could talk about Noah Kim as well. So Noah Kim started a little rough. On the night, though, you look at his stats: 18 for 31, 279 yards, couple of touchdowns. What am I gonna say? That's not bad. That's a pretty good stat line, right? I mean, I can't be upset with that. But he really struggled in the first half. But once he got out of that rut, once he figured it out, once he started connecting with his receivers, seemed like there might have been something there. Now, again, it's Central Michigan, so take all this good with a grain of salt. Speaking of take all this good with a grain of salt, now we got to talk about the bad. So the bad was, wow, that first half was rough. That was awful. I mean, I was saying it on the stream. You can go back and watch the live reaction. My goodness, that offense looked anemic. It looked like a paraplegic would have a better time getting across the field than our offense would. It was Noah Kim missing guys. It was guys dropping balls, namely Malik Carr, who really got on my nerves. He ended up catching a touchdown near the end of the game, but goodness gracious, Malik, you had multiple big-time plays where if you catch the ball, you could have ran it for a touchdown. You could have ran it for 50 yards. You could have ran it for 60 yards. You could have ran it, I don't know, so down to Okemos, where I don't know. You could run it anywhere. You were wide open on multiple occasions, or you broke coverage and you just dropped the ball. And now that's not on scheme because the play was set up perfectly. You were ready to go. You just have to execute at that point as a player. But that is not to say that scheme was not a problem here, because you were down against Central Michigan, which in and of itself is a bit of an indictment on this offense. Like, you cannot allow these slow starts to define you at any point in the season. Now, I will allow some level of grace because it's a new quarterback. He's still getting used to the system. A little bit of pressure. First night starting in his college career. And, if they go into Richmond this week and they put up 31 in the first half, all right, fine. We might have something here offensively. And I'm not gonna scream to fire Jay Johnson, although, frankly, if they fired Jay Johnson, I wouldn't exactly be losing my mind. I mean, that even with the good offensive production near the end, or from the final 2 minutes of the second quarter to the rest of the game, the offense was good. I need that to be the whole game, because good teams are not going to go and score just 7 points in the first half. Good teams are going to take advantage of the failure that you have, especially on fourth down. And that's another oh my goodness. Good teams are going to take I'll just finish my thought. Good teams are going to take advantage of that, right? They're not going to just, go 3-0 themselves and then whatever. But you cannot you cannot fail to convert 2 4th and 1s. Not only can you not fail to do that, you ran the same play on both of them. I was watching it, and it's like 4th and 1. Okay, we're in the shotgun. Okay. Well, the first time it's like, okay, let's see what we actually end up doing. And we just hand it off to Carter, and he gets stuffed because he's taking what needs to be, or what should be, a 1-yard run and turning it into like a 4-yard run, essentially, right? Because you're about, I don't know, maybe like 3 yards back from the snap, and now you're just standing there. You have to build up your momentum to move forward. Whereas guys on the defensive line or guys on the linebacking core, they can just, like a bat out of hell, just bullet right through you, and then they stuff you. You do it once, okay, didn't work. tried to catch them off guard with the shotgun. Maybe they think you're going to pass. You don't know. But you do it twice? Jay, what is this? I mean, like, I don't understand. What is I already don't like the shotgun 4th and 1 unless you plan on passing the ball, which is already kind of a question mark. But at least it makes sense that you would be in the shotgun. But to do it twice? I mean, like, what is the strategy? Like, we're so dumb. They would never expect us to do something dumb 2 times. It's like, yeah, I guess they wouldn't think that because it's so dumb that not only would they not expect it to work, it wouldn't work because it's that dumb. Like that was the worst of it, I would say, offensively for Michigan State. I was gonna talk about the ugly, but that was pretty much the ugly, actually. That was the ugly. I didn't even talk about the defense, which, pretty much looked better, I guess. Like I said, they looked good on 3rd down. They were able to get off the field, and you had Cal Halliday, total of 10 tackles, and he had a TFL and an interception. You had a lot of these other guys bringing pressure. Jacoby Windman with a sack. Okay. I mean, the defense looked better. We didn't give up, 13 points like we did against Western or however many points we gave up. We gave up just 7, and they were in just 1 quarter. And we were able to make big-time stops in tough situations and first-and-goal situations where that was the other thing. That and maybe that could be the ugly, is just the level of, like, stupid penalties. That, to me, is unforgivable. Like, you had a 1st and goal or like a 3rd and goal, and they were way back in like the 20. It would have been about a 35, 40-yard field goal. You had them pinned. And for one, you give up a big play, which almost gets a touchdown. But secondly, you then take that play and you add on, actually, we're going to give them an extra set of downs, right? Correct myself. They didn't give a big play. They nearly gave a big play. They got lucky. And then they gave them, as a thank you gift for giving them luck, Michigan State said, you know what? Unsportsmanlike conduct, automatic 1st down. Those are the things that drive me up a wall. You cannot give up a stupid penalty when the team that is trying to win is giving you the victory. When they are unable to catch balls that are thrown right to them with nobody on them. Like, you have been given a bone. Take it and run. Goodness gracious. Oh, I'm getting angry just thinking about the game, and we won the game. That's what's crazy to me. We won the game, and yet ultimately, I am only adequately satisfied. I would give them like a B- or a B on the night, because that first start, that was awful. That was just terrible. It was awful to watch. It was bad on mostly the offensive front, but it didn't look good. They cleaned it up. They looked better near the end of the game. They ran away with it, which is what you need to do. They cover the spread. Hey, cover the spread. I'm not going to be upset when you cover the spread and win. But all that to be said, Michigan State going up against Richmond this week. It's another team that's, frankly speaking, a cupcake. It's in your home, 3:30 afternoon, Big Ten Network, not a whole lot of pressure, okay? Not nationally broadcast, none of that. All you got to do is go into that game and, for me, score 31 in the first half. Score 25 in the first half. Score 30 in the first. I don't care. Blow them out before you have to go into the tunnel for the first time. Get them pinned to the ground and put the knife through their face. Like, just end it all before they even have the chance to say, go Spiders. Okay? Like, I don't want any semblance of a slow start. If we see another slow start, you're going to get Angry Mike next week. And you're already getting Angry Mike. But if you go in and you blow them out, you're going to get, okay, all right, we've warmed up, had our preseason games. Now all the focus is on Washington, who's got a lights-out offense. We'll talk about Washington in a bit, but that is the game. That's the Miami of this season. 2021, when we went out on the road and beat Miami, that changed the trajectory of where we thought we could go this season. I think that Washington game is going to determine, and if you don't win, fine. You need to be competitive. You can't get blown out like you did last year. You can't look embarrassing. You can't be giving up stupid penalties. Can't be doing any of that. Can't be doing any of that. And you certainly can't do that next week. I like how I'm already jumping to the Washington game when we still have Richmond. We're on to Richmond. Whatever. So, in totality, Michigan State. Oh, also, we got a kicker. We got a guy who can actually make kicks. It's a miracle. I didn't know. I was unaware that you could actually have a kicker who makes field goals. That was news to me. But apparently you can. Jonathan Kim, 1 for 1 with a 47-yarder, and he made all 3 extra points. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. It was like, oh, that's what special teams is like. So, yeah. All that being said, Michigan State, on to Richmond. See what they can do. Like I said, 31 in the first half. Put them away before they get the chance to say, go Spiders. Okay. Moving on. What do we got next? So, I guess we could break down this week in college football because we have a lot of things. We have a lot of things that happen. So, I have 3 or 4 things I want to talk about this week. Number 1, Coach Prime has arrived. I know I messed up his name last week. I think it was last week. Coach Prime, man, that was without a doubt one of the most entertaining first games I have ever watched. Of the first week 1 game, that was easily one of the best games that I had seen in a very long time. 45-42, Colorado shocks the world, beating the number 17th ranked TCU Horned Frogs just in the national championship. TCU Horned Frogs, 1 game away from being national champions, and they went in to their house and they used their special bathroom. They sat in their comfy chair. They went in there and upset. I mean, you look at the win probability here on ESPN. I mean, they start the game. TCU is in the 80s, then they're in the 70s, then they get about to the 50s, they get to the 70s. It wasn't until Colorado had the lead in the 4th, 38-35, that they finally got into the win probability rank with 57.5. Then they dropped as TCU reclaimed that lead, 42-38, 84%. You think 42% or 84%, less than 7 minutes to play in the 4th. Okay, maybe this game TCU runs away with it. They make the stops. The wheels fall off of Colorado. But no, they don't. I mean, Colorado just comes in, and like I said, they went into their house and they used their special bathroom. They used the famous toilet paper that only the homeowner is allowed to use. They went in and they stole your cornflakes. They did something disrespectful. I mean, first of all, I got to read this box score for Colorado. This is like Madden or NCAA, I guess in this case, NCAA football stuff. Shedeur Sanders, son of Deion, son of the head coach. So when I saw it, was like, oh, his son is being the quarterback? Okay, this seems a little suspicious, right? It's like, you want your son to be the quarterback. It's every coach's dream, right? My son is going to be the starting quarterback for my team. And so you're like, okay, Shedeur Sanders, I don't know if this guy's any good. Shedeur Sanders, man, 38 for 47. 510 yards. Not 400, not 300, not 200. 500. $500,000 worth of yards from Shedeur Sanders. 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, a 90.6 QBR that is out of 100, by the way. Rushing, not a whole lot special from Colorado. Didn't really show you anything as far as rushing. Savion Wilkerson, he had 13 carries, 45 yards and a touchdown. Dylan Edwards had a rushing touchdown as well on 6 carries, 24 yards. Not a whole lot. They had some, they had usage from multiple guys, but nobody blew you away. Seaven. I mean, you throw for 510 yards. Well, you have not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 guys who caught for over 100 yards. Dylan Edwards, 5 receptions, 135 yards for 3 touchdowns. That's including the rushing, or no, it's not including the rushing touchdown. Travis Hunter, who is the story of the day. He is the Dion of today, playing both sides of the football. Travis Hunter, 11 receptions, 119 yards. Xavier Weaver, 6 receptions, 118 yards. Jimmy Horn Jr., 11 receptions, 117 yards with a touchdown. I mean, what? How is this real? How these are video game numbers. And by the way, I talked about what's his name? Travis Hunter. On defense, he had 3 tackles. One of them was solo, and he had an interception. I mean, like, what? Who is this guy? Travis Hunter, honestly, he's like Dion was back in the day. And now Dion, of course, he was primarily a corner. And I don't know if Travis Hunter is primarily a corner. It seems like, based on the stats, he seems like he's probably more a wide receiver primarily. I mean, given the fact that you caught 11 passes for 119 yards. He didn't get any receiving touchdowns, to be fair. But, I mean, the guy was just an animal. He was just an animal. And, I mean, ultimately, though, when you think of touchdowns are just sort of icing on the cake, they're not really indicative of anything other than the fact that your team is in the end zone, right? Like, your team is in a position to where you are able to drive in that run, right? Or drive in that run. I'm watching baseball. You're able to, finish the job, right? To get into the end zone. But Travis Hunter, man, I mean, here's the thing, okay? One thing I will say about this Dion stuff. That Fox broadcast was like watching Korea TV. That was awful. Gus Johnson and Joel Klatt ought to be ashamed of themselves. That was one of the most absurdly biased broadcasts on a national stage I have ever seen. And Fox has been doing this all going into this game with all the Coach Prime. Here he comes in Colorado. And it's like, I want to like Coach Prime. I want to like Colorado, but you guys are making it so hard for me. You're making it so hard for me to want to like him because at every step of the way, you're just so annoying. I mean, it was serious. It was. I challenge anybody to go back and watch the highlights of that game or watch the whole game back. It's like TCU scored a touchdown. Let's see somebody who scored a touchdown. I don't know. Jared Wiley catches the ball for a TCU touchdown. And it's like, is that all you got, Gus? That's nothing more. I mean, no excitement. I mean, TCU could just take the lead. I mean, there's nothing. Okay, fine. And then meanwhile, Shedeur Sanders. This is how it goes. Shedeur Sanders throws a ball and then the touchdown. It's, oh my God, Shedeur Sanders! Oh, what a pass! And then Travis Hunter down the sideline. Oh my gosh! Come into my home and sleep with me tonight. Like, it was like, bruh, stop. Like, what is that? I mean, it was ridiculous. Gus and Joel were they were grabbing Dion in places that will not be named. That's all I can say. I mean, they were head over heels in love with Colorado, who had won one game last year. Now, granted, totally different team. They replaced like 80% of the roster, but it must have been just, I don't know what the game plan was for Gus and Joel. If it was like, okay, we're going to have you guys because we're really hyping up Deion Sanders. So we want you to be really excited when a nice play happens for Colorado so that people get really interested in them because we have a lot of games with them on Big Noon. We got next week, Big Noon, Nebraska and Colorado. We want to be able to get people to watch. It's just like, at that point, I am rooting for him to lose just because I want Gus Johnson to be sad. I'm that spiteful because it is just, it's ridiculous. It's like, why? Like, you don't have to be that over the top. You just don't. I don't understand it. I don't think I ever will. Oh, well, that's great. Just spilled all over myself. You can't really see it, but that's fine. I don't really get it. I mean, I guess I do get it because it's a media thing and they just want views and all that fun stuff. But look, Colorado looks like they could be the real deal. Kind of a crazy hot take overreaction. Colorado could be a playoff team this year. They could go from unranked to being a playoff team this year. They really, really could. They have a tough schedule, though. I mean, Nebraska, that place, they're an embarrassing team. But we'll see. Maybe Hugh Freeze. Maybe Matt Rule figures it out. But they got USC. They got the rest of the Pac-12, which is a scary division. They got Washington. We'll see. We'll see. I'm not going to totally sell out on them, but I'm also not going to, think they're they're the incarnation, right? They're not. They look like a pretty good team. They got very little defense, but they made big plays when they needed to make big plays. That I will say. Other story, other takeaway I took away. I don't know what's going on. Is Michael Penix. And the reason I took this away is because Michigan State is going to have to face this guy. And Michael Penix looked like a absolutely elite quarterback. I mean, he looks like a guy that's going to go in the first round this year in the draft. Michael Penix for the Washington Huskies in a 56-19 victory, which, by the way, they were trailing 6-0 after one. So you were like, wait a minute. Something off about this Washington team? They went on to score 28 in the next quarter, and at that point, the game was over. But Michael Penix, he threw 29 for 40, 450 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Now, if I'm Michigan State, that's very scary because Central Michigan didn't really throw the ball. And we didn't really get the chance to see our secondary really, go to work. We did have the interception from Cal Halladay, but wasn't a whole lot of cornerback matchups here. Now, to spin it potentially a positive way, you could say, oh, well, nobody was getting open, right? We had guys white on rice. There's nothing that could be done. We'll see, but this scares me. I mean, I witnessed Michael Penix last year in his coming out party, and again when we went on the road to face them. And look, our defense is going to have to bring the pressure, and we're going to have to be able to play good secondary, or else Michael Penix is going to do this to us. I fear. Now it's going to be a rough crowd, right? Going to be enemy territory. We'll see what happens. Other story. This one is quite sad because, well, it's sad in so much as it's sad. Like, how do I describe this? It's sad like when your friend gets into a relationship and you just like broke up or something, or like you're having a tough time getting into a relationship, something like, I don't know. I feel like that's an apt analogy. It's like you want to be happy, but you can't help but be a little sad or bitter in some way. Talking about Florida State and LSU. So Florida State destroyed LSU. The game was over before the end of the third quarter, essentially. Like, they were up 17-14 at the half. And you're thinking, okay, all right, it's a game. See what happens in the second half. Florida State went on to score 10 points in the third, 21 points in the fourth, to LSU to answer with just 7. 7 points answered in the second half. Absolutely pathetic stuff. And Jaden Daniels, look, he threw it for a lot of yards, wasn't able to finish. LSU multiple times got themselves into the red zone, and they could not score. For the life of them, they couldn't score. It was frustrating. I was rooting for LSU. I wanted LSU to win this game because I like LSU. I don't really like Florida State that much, but here is the real story of the night, and in so much as how this relates to me, a Michigan State fan. Jordan Travis had a fine game, really fine game. 23 for 31, 342 yards, 4 touchdowns and an interception. I think he's another guy that could be going in the first round. I don't know if he's eligible. I believe he is. If he's not eligible, correct me if I'm wrong. I think based on what I've seen from this particular game, if this was the end of his season, I think he goes in the first round. But the story is not about Jordan Travis. Story is about Keon Coleman. Keon Coleman, former Spartan. He caught 9 balls on Sunday night. 122 yards, and 3 touchdowns. He caught a 41-yard bomb as well. Now, I have to be careful here because I don't want to get into the mindset of, Keon Coleman, he actually wasn't all that good at MSU. We didn't, he wasn't doing this for us, which, to be fair, no, he was not. But say Keon Coleman was not good at MSU is just flat out not true. It's just not true. I mean, let me see if I can pull up his stats from when he was at Michigan State. I mean, last year, he had 58 catches for 798 yards and 7 touchdowns. He was a really good player. Even in 21, 7 receptions for 50 yards and a touchdown. Much less, production in 21 because he was overshadowed by a number of different receivers. But look, Keon Coleman, in just one game with Florida State, he's already pretty much almost half of the amount of touchdowns he had all of last year with Michigan State. And now, granted, he wasn't wide receiver 1 at Michigan State. Jaden Reed was. But still, Jaden Reed, I believe he missed a game. So, there's it's not like he was totally losing targets completely. And I'm not angry that he's playing well because I knew he was going to play well. He's a good player. I'm upset because it goes back to Jay Johnson. And you had a team offensively where you had, in 21, you had Kenneth Walker, you had Jaden Reed, you had Keon Coleman. Those are 3 guys that at least 2 of them got picked in the draft. Kenneth Walker went in the second round, I believe. I believe it was the second round. And Jaden Reed also went in the second round, but he probably could have gone in the first round, depending. The wide receiver class this past year was pretty good. But he's a first-round talent, I would say. And Keon Coleman, he could go in the first round this year. He certainly could have gone. He could have gone in the second round. He could have gone in the second round if he left and was drafted last year. But now he's looking like he could be a first-round pick. I don't know how high. Probably pretty high if the numbers keep going like this. I mean, if he's a 1,000-yard receiving player by the end of the season, you're darn certain he's going to be in the first round. And look, I loved him when he was at MSU. I thought he was a fine player. And it sucks to see him succeed on a different team. But Jay Johnson, you've got to be thinking. He had to be watching this game and thinking, "Boy, I look like an idiot. I look like a doofus for letting all of these offensive talents and just I don't know what I'm thinking. I'm not letting them work in the way they should be." So that tells me that if this offense for Michigan State doesn't put it together, doesn't figure out its identity, Jay Johnson, he might not be working by the end of this year. And the final story. Now, I didn't watch this game because I forgot it was on, admittedly. I just want to briefly talk about this. Duke laid the smackdown on Clemson. I mean, that was a bona fide blowout. I mean, that was absolutely absurd. I need to look at the stats here because I almost cannot believe Clemson, by the way, was the number 9 ranked team going into this game. And they scored 1 touchdown all game. They were up 7-6 at the half and then gave up 22 unanswered points in the second half. Cade Klubnik, their quarterback, replacing, I believe, DJ Ungulalele or whatever his name was. I think that's his name. 27 for 43, only 209 yards, touchdown, and a pick. QBR of 27.9. Riley Leonard, who I don't know who Riley Leonard is, he had 17 for 33, only 175 yards, 5.3 average, no touchdowns, no picks, but he had an 85 QBR. Now, why is that, you're wondering? Because his passing numbers are worse than Klubnik's. Well, that's because Riley Leonard rushed for 98 yards. He rushed for nearly 100 yards, and he got a touchdown. He was their leading rusher, which is a beauty in its own right, honestly. It's a beautiful thing to me. When a team, I don't know if it says more about their rushing, I don't know if it says more about their rushing than it does about the quarterback's ability. Like, you were able to, have your quarterback lead you in rushing. So that just shows how bad that defense was, potentially. And it wasn't like they had a whole lot of receivers. They had no receivers who caught for more than 100 yards. They had a couple of fumbles. Or a couple of fumble recoveries, I should say. Or they fumbled it, and they didn't lose it. This is weird. I'm trying to figure this out. I don't know what's going on with this stat. I'm going to ignore the fumble. We're going to ignore the fumble. I don't know what's going on. It says 0, 0, and then 1 received. And I don't know what that means. But you had the 1 interception. That's it. I mean, this was one of those games I didn't watch again, but it's one of those games that happens every year. Some team hyped up, top team, and they just lay an egg. And look, I don't know if Clemson season is over, but frankly, you're gonna have to climb all the way back if you wanna win. If you want to win hearts and minds back. And speaking of winning hearts and minds back, take a look here at the AP polls for this going into this week now. So we will start at the very bottom, dropping 16 spots. Is the 0-1 Clemson Tigers. I don't know all the teams' names, so I'm not going to do that for every team. Number 24 is Tulane. 23, I'll point out if they move as well. Texas A&M at 23. Colorado jumping in to the top 25 at 22. They took out TCU. Hey, I think it's deserved. Now, the only place you can go is up. The other team that got put up is Duke. Duke is now the 21st ranked team in the country. We'll see how long it lasts, but still. And speaking of teams going up, Ole Miss goes from 22 to 20, moving up 2 spots. Wisconsin sticks at 19. Oklahoma goes up a couple of spots at 18. North Carolina, that was another game that happened. Drake May. I guess I could talk about that briefly. That was I forgot to put that on the list. Just because obviously Drake May, one of the top quarterback prospects. I did not mean to click that. I clicked the wrong one. There we go. Box score here. So Drake May, he looked okay. 24 for 32, 269 yards, couple of touchdowns, but a couple of picks. Puts his QBR at 87. Okay, not bad, but not great. Anyways, back to the AP poll rankings. North Carolina at 17, moving up 4 spots. Oregon State at 16, moving up a couple of spots. Kansas State moving up a spot at 15. LSU dropping all the way down to 14. That's 9 spots for LSU. Oregon moving up a couple of spots at 13. Utah moving up a couple of spots at 12. Texas stays at 11. Notre Dame moving up 3 spots, now a top 10 team. Notre Dame, are they here? We'll see. Tennessee, also a top 10 team, moving up 3 spots. Number 9. Another new addition not a new addition, but further addition to the top 10. Washington moves up to number 8. Penn State sticks at 7. USC at 6. It's another one. Iowa State moving down a couple of spots. They're still top 5, but boy, that performance against Indiana, that was rough to watch. We'll see if that continues for the Buckeyes. Only a 20. They won by 20. It's 23 points against Indiana. Ooh, that's rough. That's like Michigan State last year, and I don't think they got that many points. But it was a rough game to watch. Florida State moving up 4 spots into the top 5. Number 4. Alabama moving up to the top 3 at number 3, and the top 1 and 2 remain the same, with Michigan at number 2 and the Georgia Bulldogs at number 1, both of which won their games in blowout fashion. More notably, Georgia winning 48-7 over Tennessee Martin. I swear, some of these SEC team matchups, I'm like, are these real teams? Are these real? I don't know if they feel the same way about like Central Michigan or Eastern Michigan, but I feel like more people are familiar with those teams than they are about Tennessee Martin. Who are these teams? Do you make these schools up? I don't know. But that is pretty much college football. At least for this past week. I guess in this case, we should take a look at week 2. So week 2, we got another longer week in college football. But some of these games, these Thursday games, I mean, this Thursday and Friday game, these are uninteresting. Uninteresting games generally. I'm not even going to talk about them. Take a look at some of the interesting matchups, though, potentially. Obviously, Nebraska at Colorado. It's going to be Coach Prime's, first home opener. We'll see what happens. This is going to be a tough game for Nebraska, who's coming off of a Nebraska loss. And they're going to go against a team that's red hot right now. So, look, if you're Matt Rule, it's not an ideal situation. It's just not. So, you have to overcome the badness and figure it out. The other games, keep an eye out for. Let's take a look here. I guess Tulane and Ole Miss, 2 top 25 teams. That's a top 25 matchup on ESPN 2, 3:30. But I won't be watching that game. I'll be watching Michigan State against Richmond. We already briefly talked about it. I'm not going to preview that game. Michigan State win by 106. Please. That's the only way I'll feel satisfied. Go ahead and win that game, please. That's all I can ask. Other than that, Washington plays Tulsa. I think you could see another nice game from Michael Penix. Now, here's an interesting one. I just noticed this. Okay? Drake May is going to take on a team heading on the road called Appalachian State. Now, I have said since last year, if you're a team and you are able to schedule someone, you can schedule anybody. You can schedule anybody you want. Do not schedule Appalachian State. Never, under any circumstances, schedule Appalachian State. It is a trap game of trap games. Michigan fell for it. Texas A&M fell for it last year. I hope North Carolina doesn't fall for it this year because Drake May really wants to keep his draft stock up. We don't want another Sam Howell situation where really high and then goes into an off year and he becomes a 4th round pick and nobody cares about him because he's on the Commanders. But that's a game I think potentially keep an eye out for. It's at 5:15 on the ACC network. Look at some of the other games. Hey, Lafayette at Duke. Let's see if Duke can get another win, keep themselves in the top 25. I don't think if there's any more top 25. Oh, what am I talking about? Here's the game of the week. I just found it. Texas on the road against Alabama. That is the game of the week right there. That is going to be a good game. Texas is trying to get themselves back into relevance, get into the top 10. And Alabama, coming off a really strong win. We'll see what happens if they can keep it up. It's in Alabama. Tuscaloosa is going to be rocking on ESPN, 7 p.m. That should be a great game, I think. Looking around at any others, I don't think there's anything else of note. No, not really. Yeah, not really. Yeah, so I'd say the big games, for sure. For sure, Texas, Alabama. That's probably the game of the week for me. And I think it's the game of the week generally. You also got Nebraska at Colorado. And keep an eye for Appalachian State at North Carolina. Just maybe you can't watch it. You don't have the ACC network. I understand. I think I have the ACC network on the YouTube TV. But if you don't have it, just keep an eye on it. I'm just saying. Appalachian State. They like to play spoiler. They've done it for, at this point, decades. So that is all of college football. That allows me to move on to the pros, where this is the most anticipated week for me as a Lions fan. I have been waiting months for this night, and I have said the Lions are going to win that game. They're going to win that game. I was saying I am going into every game this year expecting the Lions to win. But more importantly than that, I want to talk about these power ranks that Bleacher Report put out. So nobody's played a game yet, so you kind of it's hard to really gauge these. At the bottom, you have Arizona Cardinals. I'm not going to go through all these. At the bottom, you have Arizona Cardinals. Team I said I think is going to go 1-17. I think if any team can go 1-17, they can do it. So there's that. You also have the Indianapolis Colts, Houston Texans, Chicago Bears, which is a little surprising because a lot of people were weirdly high on the Chicago Bears. They got them at 29. Going through LA Rams, that's a team that you could see selling off pieces. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Atlanta Falcons pretty low. I mean, it's a tough division, or I shouldn't say it's a tough division because it's not a good division. I don't know if I'd put them that low necessarily. Carolina Panthers, they have ahead of them at 25, but generally speaking, it seems like they don't really believe in most of the teams in the NFC South. Washington Commanders, Las Vegas Raiders, Tennessee Titans. I would put the Titans a little bit lower, honestly. Denver Broncos, that's just a weird team. The Packers at 20. New England Patriots at 19. New Orleans Saints at 18. Minnesota Vikings at 17. And here is where I get a little upset. They got the Lions at number 16. Right in the middle. Middle of the pack in the league at 16. Here are some teams that they have in front of them. The Giants, Steelers, the Browns, the Seahawks, the Jets, and then you get into the top 10. Now, here's my thing, okay? The Jets, okay? And the Giants. I thought there was more. Jets and the Giants Lions beat last year. And the Lions are a much improved team than last year. Now, granted, both the Jets and the Giants also improved teams from last year. Teams typically get better in the offseason, at least when they're competing. They're trying to get better. I would at least put them ahead of those teams. I mean, and it wasn't like we beat them at home. We beat both of those teams on the road. As far as the Seahawks and the Steelers being ahead of, look, the Seahawks, okay, fine. You want to put them ahead of us. We lost to them last year. Sure. But I'm not totally sold. We'll see if Geno Smith can repeat what he did last year. The Steelers, though, that confuses me because the Steelers, to me, are much more of a gamble pick than the Lions, who, with the Steelers, yeah, they went 9-8 last year. They missed the playoffs, but they just, I don't really know how good they are. They're just sort of they screen to be a kind of middling team. But we'll see how good Kenny Pickett is. I do like Kenny Pickett. But I don't know. I guess in my mind, I figured the Lions are probably, a better team. But the one that confuses me the most is the Cleveland Browns. Like, what? The Cleveland Browns, they were awful last year. They were awful with Deshaun Watson. They were awful without Deshaun Watson. Like, I don't know in what world the Cleveland Browns are the 13th best team in the NFL. They're a weird team. And if they get the Deshaun Watson of 2019, which at this point is now 4 years removed, maybe they're that team. But I think they got far bigger problems than just quarterback. And I could see them selling off pieces potentially at the trade deadline. The Jets to me is just frustrating. I think it's just Aaron Rodgers bias. I mean, I'm not sold on Aaron Rodgers. I think he's on the downturn of his quarterback play. I guess pretty much anybody is going to be better than Zach Wilson or Mike White or whoever else, Jay Cutler. But I don't know. I wouldn't throw them in the 11th spot. They're not putting them in the top 10, so I can't be that upset. But I guess we'll just see. The other teams in the top 10. Number 10 is Seth's LA Chargers. Now, Seth is not here to defend this. Now, here's my thing. It's hard for me to put a team that blew a massive lead in the playoffs in the top 10. It's just hard for me. The other thing that's a little hard for me that they did is to put a team like the Jacksonville Jaguars at number 7. Again, a team that the Lions beat at number 7. I guess you're high on Trevor Lawrence. You're high on that team offensively. Defensively, I don't even know. I don't know if they believe in defense in Jacksonville. I'm not sure. The Dolphins, an interesting team. I do like the Dolphins, but I don't. Difficult. The top 10 is. I mean, you gotta put somebody in there. So I'm not gonna. Again, this is the thing about power rankings. You gotta put somebody at some place. So you're to say like, oh my gosh, how could you put this team here? You gotta put somebody somewhere. Like every team's gonna go somewhere, and some teams you're gonna have to take a gamble. But outside that, they have the Cowboys at 6. Okay, fine, whatever. They're the Cowboys. It seems like they're always in the top 10. The Niners at 5. Bills at 4, Bengals at 3. And this is where it gets a little annoying because it's just like, guys, you're just, the 2 Super Bowl teams are the top 2 teams. The Super Bowl losers are 2, and the Super Bowl champions are 1. I mean, like, I get it, but it's kind of lazy. I mean, like, look, the Chiefs, they're a really good team still. But we don't really know. Like, the book is out at this point that, okay, we cannot just be like, okay, Patrick Mahomes doesn't have any receivers, right? How's he going to win? No. Now we know, and we're going to see if we can try to stop him. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to repeat in this league. It's hard to, hard to do anything, sustain success in the NFL generally. That's why the Patriots. Yeah, the Patriots. I was going to say the Packers, and then I stopped myself and said Patriots. But the Patriots' success was so rare. I mean, you really don't see a whole lot of NFL dynasties. And looks like the Chiefs might be able to be one. They've won just 2 championships. Like I say, you got to win 3 to be a dynasty. And I really hope we're not entering into just the age of the Chiefs. Not because I particularly hate the Chiefs, but just because I want to see somebody else win. Like, I just don't want to see the Chiefs win every single time. I guess that's just. Speaking of winning and fun times and challenges, I have something that Seth is already going to be doing. I don't he hasn't posted his yet. But let me go ahead and share my screen. There we go. Let's actually do this. Just because, there we go. My face is a little bit bigger. Okay, so we are going to be doing some NFL pick'em. Well, no. NFL win total. Actually, is it? We don't want that. My face is very tiny there. I don't know if this is helpful. I guess we could just do this. Is this bad? Is that bad? I don't see how it looks on full screen. Nah, no, you can see 14. Okay. If you can't see, 14 to 16 wins at the top, 9 to 13 wins second, 6 to 8, 3 to 5, 0 to 2. So basically, we're going to try to pick where I think each team is going to end up in the win total this particular season. Starting with the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is a difficult one, actually. Why? We're really starting with a tough one. Oh, man. Okay, last year they went 9-8. I think they're going to get better this year, but that division is tough. I think I put them at 9 to 10 wins in the 9 to 13 win range. I think they're going to compete for that division, but it's a tough division, so I could see them winning 8 games, but I don't know. Mike Tomlin is just too good. He's never had a losing record. I think it's hard to bet against that. I think I got them right there. The Los Angeles Chargers of San Diego up next here. This is another tough one. And not tough because I think they're going to be bad. It's tough because I want them to be, or I think they're going to be much better, but I don't know. Like, it's still the Chargers, right? And Seth would say the same thing. Still in the Chiefs division. I feel like 10 to 11 wins for the Chiefs. That's what I'm thinking. In the 9 to 13 range. I think if they win 9 games, they got to fire the entire coaching staff, maybe fire the GM. I don't know. Might have to clean house. But Chargers, yeah, I think they're going to be a pretty good team. Atlanta Falcons. How did the Atlanta Falcons do last year? I don't think they were very good. I feel like they can get 6 wins. They got a really good rushing game, but I don't know how good their defense is. I don't think they really even have a passing game to begin with, and we don't know how good Desmond Ritter is going to be. I think Desmond Ritter is probably going to be a middle quarterback. He'd have to be really bad for them to get less than 6 wins in my mind. So we'll see about it. But the Packers. Oh, the Packers. You know, this is rough. This is a tough spot because the Packers with Jordan Love is the ultimate mystery box, and Matt LaFleur is not a bad coach. However, I think this is probably going to be one of the weaker Packer teams we've seen in a long time. I'm going to put them in the 6-8 win range. And I don't think they're going to win 6 games. I don't think they're going to be that bad. I think they probably win about 8 games. I think Jordan Love is about as good as Aaron Rodgers was last year, which is to say pretty average. And I think they won 8 games last year. And we'll see about the rest of their team. As it stands right now, I'm throwing them right there in about the mid. Cleveland Browns. Oh man, this is another tough one. Jeez, this is a lot of tough ones. With the Cleveland Browns, man, I guess I could see them winning 6 to 8 games. But in that division, man, it's rough. Honestly, I feel like they're going to be bad. I'm going to put them in the 3 to 5 wins. I mean, I'm not looking at these team schedules, by the way. I'm just basing on what I think about the team. I feel like the Cleveland Browns are not going to be good. I'm going to go with that. So then we move on to the Chicago Bears. Now, the Chicago Bears. Now, for some reason, I don't know what their reason is. For some reason, Chicago Bear fans think Justin Fields is the man. And I'm here to tell you, Justin Fields is not the man. In fact, he's the opposite of the man. He's bad. Bears are going to be 3 to 5 wins. They won 3 games, I think, last year. And I don't think they're really going to be all that improved. Maybe they win a couple extra games. There was a few games that they came pretty close. They came pretty close to beating the Lions last year, to be fair. But of course, Justin Fields sold that game. Who would have thought? But yeah, I'm going to put them in the 3 to 5 range. The Bills. The Bills are one of the better teams. Are they a 14 to 16 win team though? See, this is the thing. That 14 to 16, that is spooky. That is a spooky thing to have to put on a team. Oh man, that is. They're okay. I think Josh Allen comes back to reality this year. He had a bad year last year. I think Josh Allen is going to come back. I think they're going to be a 14. I think they could be the 1 seed in the AFC. How about that? I think they could be the 1 seed. The Philadelphia Eagles. So this is an interesting one because with the Eagles, yeah, Jalen Hurts coming off the MVP season. Well, he didn't win the MVP, but an MVP caliber season. And just lost the Super Bowl. Super Bowl slump. No, I don't see that division to me is so weak. I feel like they could be like a 14-win team. I feel like they could be one of the top teams in the NFC. I'm gonna throw the Eagles up there. The Ravens. Oh man, this is like, please, this is no man's land. I mean, we're in a rough spot here with this AFC North. Lamar Jackson to me is the definition of inconsistent. I don't know what kind of Lamar Jackson I'm going to get, and he's not clutch in must-win situations. So he basically has to get ahead early, and if they're in a tough spot, he seems to crumble a lot. Honestly, I'll put them in the mid, in the top, in the really good teams. So, probably in that division, they probably win 10 games. I think they could make the playoffs. We'll see about where they land seating wise and all that. But now we get to the LA Rams. LA Rams, man, this is a tough. I mean, is it tough? They won like 3 games last year. Cooper Kupp is questionable. I don't think Stafford's going to be any better. Are they a 2-win team though? No. They're like a 3 to 5 win team. I think they're going to be pretty bad. I think they'll probably sell off. So if they're going to win games, it's going to be kind of early. But they're not going to win a whole lot of games. My Detroit Lions. I've been saying it since the end of the season last year. I think the Lions are going to win 12 games. 12-5 is what I'm thinking they're going to go. And they're going to win the division. They're going to win a home playoff game. So yeah, I got them winning 12 games. I think they're in a good spot division-wise. I think they're the best team in that division. And I think they're one of the better teams in the NFC. They're not in the 14 win range necessarily. They're not at that point, I don't think. But I think they're certainly in the 12 win range. So, or the 9 to 13 win range. If they win 9 games this year, I'm going to be pissed. But I think they're anywhere between 10 to 13 wins is what I could see. That is, if you go anywhere beyond that, that is miracle at that point. Indianapolis Colts. This is a weird Colts logo. I've never seen that. Indianapolis Colts look, honestly, I think they're going to be terrible. I really do. I think they're going to be a 0 to 2 win team. It sucks because Anthony Richardson might be a specimen, but he might also just be really, really bad. So I don't know if you're going to get much of an in between. I think they're going to be around there. The Buccaneers. I think the Buccaneers are going to take a step back. They don't have Tom Brady anymore. I think they're going to be a 3 to 5 win team. They're going to be messing around with Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask. I think they're going to trade pieces away at the deadline. I think they're probably going to be a pretty bad team. New Orleans Saints, I got them probably in the middle. Derek Carr is not a terrible quarterback, and Alvin Kamara is going to be out a few weeks, but Jamal Williams is serviceable. But other than that, and they got Chris Olave, so I think they're going to be a serviceable team. I think it's going to be between the Saints and the Falcons as to who wins the NFC, what is it, NFC South? Yeah, the NFC South. So we'll see about that. The Vikings. You know, I'm going to do it. I think the Vikings are going to be kind of mid this year. I think they're going to take a big step back. Their defense got worse. Their offense got worse. They lose by losing Thielen and Dalvin Cook. I think they're going to take a pretty decent step back, given the fact that they're losing players and they were incredibly lucky last year, winning a lot of one-score games where, statistically speaking, you don't typically win that many one-score games. So I'll take the Vikings going. I think they're on the upper echelon of this, to be fair. I think they're probably closer to an 8-win team than they are to a 6-win team. But hey, man, we'll see just how good the Lions are, because I think they're the best team in this division. If the Lions are really good, I think they're going to run away with this division. San Francisco 49ers is a weird one because they're in a pretty tough division. So I don't know if they're going to be like that team. Yeah, but so are the Bills. And I put the Bills up there. I'm keeping, wherever I put them, I'm keeping them. So I'm not going to move the Bills. For the Niners, though, I feel like the Niners are not going to be a 14-win team. It really depends on where Brock Purdy is. If Brock Purdy regresses, they could be as bad as a 9-win team, given that they'll still have to play Seattle. I don't think they're going to be 9 wins, though. I feel like they could definitely get to 10 wins and then go from there. Tennessee Titans. Tennessee Titans are going to be a bad team. They're not like the worst team ever, but they're going to be a bad team. I think they're going to win 3 to 5 games. And like, I think 2 of them are going to be against the Colts, and the other 2 are going to be against the Texans. And other than that, I don't know what games this team is going to win because they are incredibly boring. Ryan Tannehill has not looked good. I don't know if Derrick Henry is going to be a Titan by the end of the year. And I don't know if Malik Willis or, the mayonnaise slap. I don't remember the guy's name. I don't even remember the guy's name. The guy who eats mayo in his coffee. I don't know what his name is. I don't know if he's going to be good, but yeah, got them in a 3 to 5 win. Patriots. I think this is finally the year that the bottom falls out of the Patriots. I think they're going to be really, really bad. I think they're just so boring. Mac Jones is it's just not fun. It's just not fun being Mac Jones. And that team is just unimaginative. I don't know if Belichick has got it. But yeah, I just don't really feel great about the Patriots. Dolphins, though, team I do feel pretty good about. I think they're going to be a pretty solid team. I think they probably win 10 or 11 games this year. I think Tua, finally, if he can stay healthy, that team is threatening. With Tyreek and Jalen Waddle and Gesicki, I think that's a very scary team offensively. Defensively, I don't really know. With Jalen Ramsey out until December, I think they could potentially be a late bloomer. But other than that, I think they look like they'd probably be a pretty good team. The Cowboys. All right, look. I hate the Cowboys. And do I think the Cowboys are like a good team? No. Do I think the Cowboys are a bad team? Also, no. I think they probably win about 9 games. I think they're in the lower echelon of this tier. They're like a 9-win. Maybe they sneak into the playoffs and then get destroyed. At worst, they win like 8 games or 7 games. And that's just a total disaster. That's like if Philly just runs away with the division. But their division is very bad. I don't know if the Giants are going to be for real. I don't know if the Commanders are going to be very real. And also, they have the Redskins logo. I just noticed that. It's the Redskins logo. Well, whatever. Maybe they've returned to the Redskins. But yeah, I'm going to stick with Cowboys probably in the 9-win range. I just don't really like them generally. They don't inspire a lot of confidence given their playoff performance and given some of their regular season performances, honestly. The Giants, I think the Giants probably snap back into reality a little bit. I think the book is out. I think they're probably a middling team. I think they maybe win about 7 or 8 games this year. They're a pretty good team. I like Dayball, but I think this is the year they take a little bit of a step back and then they kind of realize what exactly they need in this team to get them over that hump. And then maybe next year they kind of, take that jump. The Jets. Oh, man, the Jets. Where do I want to put the Jets? See, my hater side wants me to put the Jets here. But knowing that the Patriots are going to be that bad, I got to put them a little higher. I think they probably win 10 games, maybe. I mean, anything is going to be better offensively than Zach Wilson for them. Even if Aaron Rodgers is bad or washed, he's probably better than Zach Wilson. I don't know, though. I really don't. The Commanders or Redskins. I think they're going to go. This is like a sign they're going to go back to the Redskins. I feel like the Redskins. This is rough. Are they a middle team? I don't know. I don't think so. I feel like this is going to be a big, unfortunate time for the Redskins. I think they probably win like 5 games. They don't really have a quarterback that I can trust. They have Jahad Johnson and Scary Terry, but that's about it. I don't know if their defense is going to finally take that step forward. I don't even know if Chase Young is going to be fully healthy. I can't really trust him. But moving on, we got the Jaguars. I think they're probably like the Lions. I think they're like a 12-win team. This is a team that's in a really bad division. I think they're going to absolutely run away with that division. I know every division game is tough. I know, but I think the Jaguars are one of the better teams. We got a lot of pretty high win total teams. We don't have a lot of mid teams. We have a lot of kind of bad teams and middle teams. But we've got a lot of 9 to 13 win teams, which is interesting. Texans, though. Texans are bad. Texans are very bad. CJ Stroud looks awful. He looked awful in the preseason. I never really had that much trust in him generally. Call it Ohio State quarterback syndrome, but I just don't believe in the Texans at this point. I think they could be. I think they're probably going to win. I don't know if they're going to win 3. See, that's a problem with this 0-2 and then the 3-5. Man, that's rough. You know what? Actually, I changed my mind. I'm going to put them in the 3-win total. I think they have to be improved, but it's not going to be because of CJ Stroud. I think it's going to be because of that defense. I think the defense is going to be a lot more solidified, but I still don't think they're going to be a very good team. The Panthers, I think. Panthers, I think, are probably going to be also a 3-5 win team. I think they probably win about 5 games potentially. If Bryce Young is for real, and he looked decently comfortable in that last preseason game, especially against the Lions, I think they could be a 3-5 win team. I think they could be a sneaky team that's like, you don't want to take them lightly, but you also, are not completely terrified of them. But yeah. Chiefs, however, I mean, it's still Patrick Mahomes. He's probably going to win 14 games, right? In that division with the Broncos and the Chargers and the Raiders, the only team that's really threatening them as far as I'm concerned is the Chargers. And if that's the only team that's threatening you, then you're probably in a pretty good spot. I think the Chiefs are going to be a really good team. Seattle Seahawks. This is an interesting one because I've been talking about that division. And given the fact that it's not a very tough division, yeah, okay. I think the Seahawks probably about a 10-win team. I would say that's, yeah. I think they're going to be similar to the Niners, but I think Geno Smith probably takes a step backward. I don't think he's nearly as productive. Although if he does take a big enough step backward, they could be in the 6 to 8 range. But that's where I have them right now. Cardinals, though, Cardinals are 0. They're not going to win a game. I'm convinced until they win a game, I'm convinced they're not winning a game. So that's where the Cardinals stand. Broncos, man, I just saw some post from, I think it was a post on Reddit from Twitter. And it was like something along the lines of like, Sean Payton getting mad at Russell Wilson for, being too nice or something. I was like, oh, this is terrible. This is going to be awful. Broncos are going to be very bad. I think they could win as much as 3 games, honestly. I think it is possible that they are just as bad and Sean Payton looks like a buffoon. So, yeah, I'm no trust in the Broncos. Team that I do trust, though, is the Bengals. I think the Bengals are going to be very, very good. It's a tough division. I already established that. You're going to have 2 teams, like I said, in the 9 to 13 win range. But I think Joe Burrow is going to really come alive this year. So, that is that. This is where I got in the 14 to 16 team range, 14 to 16 win range. Or I guess I should probably put 17. That would make sense because there are 17 games. In the 14 to 17 win range, I have the Bills, Eagles, Chiefs, and Bengals. In the 9 to 13 win range, I have the Steelers, Chargers, Ravens, Lions, Niners, Dolphins, Cowboys, Jets, Jaguars, and Seahawks. The 6 to 8 win range, I have the Falcons, Packers, Saints, Vikings, and Giants. The 3 to 5 win range, I have the Browns, Bears, Rams, Buccaneers, Titans, Patriots, Washington team, Commanders, I guess is what they still are now, the Texans, the Panthers, and the Broncos. And in the 0 to 2 win range, fighting for the right to take Caleb Williams, you have the Colts and the Cardinals. So I'm going to go ahead and save this on my own here. And let me put this just in the, I'll put this in the finished assets. 2023 NFL win total tier. Save. I'm just going to remove that as well. So there we go. I'm going to go ahead and before I forget, post this image onto our Discord server. Finished assets. There we go. That is mine. Go ahead and keep that there. But we have reached that point in the show. NFL Week 1 predictions. We're finally here. And we need some music. We need some football music. Let's throw this on. Yeah. Yes. This is great. All right. I think this is probably good volume. I hope. Maybe a little bit lower. All right. We'll keep it at that. All right. So, Seth is not here, but we're still doing the pick 'em. So, I'm going to go ahead and open up Mr. Seth's text message. Giving up all the picks. All right. So, opening night of the NFL. The Detroit Lions head to Arrowhead to take on the Chiefs. Seth, taking the Lions. I will also take the Lions. Look, okay, Chris Jones, he's holding out. We don't know if he's going to play. Hopefully he doesn't play. Doesn't seem like he's going to play. Travis Kelce also may be hurt, may not play, and even if he does play, seems like he's going to be limited to in his ability. So I think the Lions are going to go into this game. I think they're going to win the game. I really do. I think it's going to be a statement win for the Lions for sure. And it's going to set the tone, I think, for the season. Up next, Panthers heading on the road, taking on the Falcons. Seth, let's see. He has the Falcons winning this game. I agree. Falcons have a great running game, and when we have a great running game, you can control the clock much easier. The Panthers are going to be in the experience of Bryce Young. And like I said, Bryce Young, he could be good, but we'll just have to wait and see with him because he could also be very, very bad because he's undersized, and I don't know. He's just not going to be in a great situation. We'll see, though. We'll see. The Ravens taking on the Texans. Now, I'm just going to check, but yeah, Seth is going to take the Ravens on this one. I will also take the Ravens. Look, the Texans are bad. The Texans are very, very bad. I think most Texans fans know this. I don't think they're going to win this game. The Ravens are good. I think Lamar Jackson, he usually has strong starts to the season. I think he's going to have a strong start. This is going to be a show-off game. This is going to be where all the Lamar Jackson for MVP talks. I think that's where all this comes out after he scores like 5 touchdowns against the Texans. So, all right. Bengals heading on the road to take on the Browns. Seth has got the Bengals. Now, this is a tricky one because the Bengals under Joe Burrow have had an awful record against the Browns. I think that Joe Burrow, he's either beaten the Browns just once or never. But I'm just going to be honest. I think the Bengals are going to win this game. It's like, look, at some point, these sorts of things, they just have to settle themselves out. I think the Bengals are going to come off in a strong start to the season. Like I said, I think Joe Burrow is going to be fighting for an MVP this year. I think this is the season that he really takes that step forward. So I got the Bengals winning this game. Up next, the Jaguars heading on the road to take on the Colts. Seth has the Jaguars. I will also take the Jaguars. We have not diverged from one another at all so far. So, think about this. Look, Trevor Lawrence, we'll see what kind of quarterback he is. And he's got a really pretty easy start, just to say the least. Indoor environment. It's on the road. It's a divisional opponent. But it's the Colts. I think they're going to come away with this game. Defensively, I don't really know where the Jaguars stand. But they got to be better than the Colts, right? I mean, we'll see. We'll see. Buccaneers heading on the road to take on the Vikings. Let's see. Seth's given the Vikings the win here. I think this is where we're going to diverge. I'm taking the Buccaneers. And for one reason. Because I'm not a believer in this defense for the Vikings, and because it got worse, I think that Baker Mayfield is going to have a game where he just looks a little bit better than people were expecting to, and there's going to be a little moment. It's the Baker Mayfield revival in Tampa Bay. A good win against a former playoff team last year, and I think, like I said, I think the Vikings could be taking a step back this year. I got the Buccaneers shocking the world. Potentially. Titans on the road take on the Saints. Let's see. Where? Seth. I think the Saints in this one. I will go into agree. I think the Saints are going to win this game. I think this is going to be another one of those games where it's like, same thing with Baker Mayfield. Derek Carr is going to have a good game. He's going to have a connection with Chris Olave. People are going to be like, oh my gosh, Derek Carr revival tour. And, eventually the season plays out and it doesn't work out. But, look, I think the Titans are a very bad team. I think they're a very, very bad team. I think the Saints are probably a middle team, so I think the Saints probably come away with a win there. Niners and Steelers. I'm just going to go with the 49ers. I'm going to go with the Steelers. The reason I'm going to go with the Steelers here is because the Steelers, they're a little bit of an enigma as a team, for one. But secondly, the Niners last year, I think it was opening week, they lost to the Bears. And we're really still not sure what kind of quarterback Brock Purdy is. And he's going to have to go on the road against one of the smartest defensive coaches in the league, in Mike Tomlin. So we'll see. It's going to be a really good game, I think. It's going to be a game to watch for. But I'm going to go with the Steelers to pull off a pretty marquee win. Cardinals at the Commanders. Let's see. Seth, going with the Commanders. I'm also going with the Commanders. I mean, look, I don't need to say much. Like, the Commanders are not good. But the Cardinals are an insult to the game of football. They are one of the most abysmal teams. They're going to be starting Josh Dobbs that game. And I don't care how bad Sam Howell is. He cannot be worse than Josh Dobbs. So, look, I think Sam Howell's probably going to have a couple of... It's going to be similar. It's like, he's going to look pretty decent. Jahad Dotson, Scary Terry, he's got a pretty good wide receiver group there in Washington. So we'll see. Packers Bears, America's game of the week. Who does Seth have? Seth has got the Packers. I'm going to agree with him. We have agreed on most of these. I'm going to agree with him. I think the Packers are going to make the Bears look very stupid. Because Justin Fields is not a good quarterback. I've been saying it all year. Justin Fields is not good. Jordan Love is also not good. Well, at least we don't know. So I think he's probably going to look decent. I think he's probably going to look decent against the Bears. The Bears don't have a defense, and I think the Packers probably have a better defense than the Bears do in offense. So, yeah, I think the Packers are probably going to win. They always beat the Bears. Who am I kidding? Come on. Raiders heading on the road to take on the Broncos. Ooh, Seth has the Broncos winning this game. I am going to diverge again. I'm taking the Raiders. The Raiders are going to win this game. Jimmy G and Devontae Adams. That's going to be an interesting tandem. And I think the Broncos are just so set for failure in this season. I'm going with the Raiders. It's really hard for me to believe in the Broncos. It's really hard for me to believe in Russ Wilson. I'm going to go with the Raiders. Both win. Dolphins at Chargers. You already know. Seth's taking the Chargers. Oh, man. I don't want to not pick the Chargers. So I'm not. I'm not taking the Dolphins. I like the Dolphins this year. But look, it's going to be in LA. Home crowd. Quote unquote. For the Chargers. Home crowd. And the Dolphins defensively, I think, are going to be weaker than they are offensively. And we'll see if the Chargers defense, if like Joey Bosa can just be an animal. We'll see. But look, I think the Chargers are probably going to win this game. I'll just say that. Patriots and the Eagles. I'm going with the Eagles. Seth is going with the Eagles. Eagles are one of the most elite teams defensively, not only, but offensively for sure. The only worry I have is that Matt Patricia's on that coaching staff. Only worry. But look, Patriots are just so boring. They're so unbelievably boring. I can't take them in this game. I just can't. I think Jalen Hurts is going to have a field day on them. Next, we have the Rams heading to Seattle, taking on the Seahawks. Seth has got the Seahawks. I agree. Seahawks are going to win this game. The Rams are very, very bad. Matthew Stafford is probably going to be without Cooper Kupp. And he's coming off of an injury, and he's not getting any younger. I think the Seahawks defensively are going to make him look very, very poor. Which, hey, couldn't happen to a nicer guy, am I right? I say that with some sympathy for Matthew Stafford. Hey, he got us our 2 first-round picks. He got us Aiden Hutchinson, or not Aiden Hutchinson. He got us, was it Jahmyr Gibbs and I guess Jamison Williams? We'll see. I don't know if that turns out to be well, but whatever. We'll see. And I guess Jared Goff. I don't know if that's a victory. We'll see what happens. Cowboys, Giants, Sunday Night Football. Seth is going with the G, man. I am also going to go with the G. I think the Cowboys are not good, but they're slightly better than the Giants. But the Giants are going to come out and win this game. I think this is prime. This is a prime game for the Giants, for the Cowboys to lose, in my opinion. This just feels like a Cowboys loss. So, yeah. Seth, final game, Monday night. Bills at the Jets. Seth is going with the Bills. I will also go with the Bills. Look, I don't think Aaron Rodgers has it. And like I said, I think this is going to be a real coming out party for Josh Allen this year. I'm going to go with the Bills. So, looks like we agreed on most of these. But here we go. Here's a rundown. Lions, Chiefs. We both got the Lions. Panthers, Falcons. We both got the Falcons. Texans, Ravens. We both got the Ravens. Bengals, Browns. We both got the Bengals. Jaguars, Colts. We both got the Jaguars. Buccaneers, Vikings. Seth's got the Vikings. I've got the Buccaneers. Titans, Saints. We both got the Saints. 49ers, Steelers. Seth's got the 49ers. I got the Steelers. Cardinals, Commanders. We both got the Commanders. Packers, Bears. We both got the Packers. Raiders, Broncos. Seth's got the Broncos. I've got the Raiders. Dolphins, Chargers. We both got the Chargers. Eagles, Patriots. We both have the Eagles. Rams, Seahawks. We both have the Seahawks. Cowboys, Giants. We both have the Giants. And Bills, Jets. We both have the Jets. So that is where we wrap it up. That is the end of our show tonight. But some show notes. This Thursday night, we will be live. Lions, Chiefs, 8:20 p.m. live, NBC. We will be there, and we will be watching. Live, reacting, having fun as the Lions beat the defending Super Bowl champions. I'm looking forward to it. The NFL is back. I'm so happy. The NFL is back. It's a beautiful time of the year. I hope everybody who came in had a good time, and I will see you all hopefully on Thursday night. So, with that being said, have a good night, everybody. I'll talk to you later. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. Bye-bye. See you later.